institutions are now adopting not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies in general. So I have all the skills, I have all the knowledge, but how come it still doesn't work? It's because 80% is the mindset. We're building a community of people, and I wouldn't say just like-minded people. It's growing a community of growth-minded people.
All right, man, let's do this. So, welcome, Julian. I am so excited about having you on today. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. I know you have a super busy schedule. I saw on Facebook you had like every week you were on different events. So, thank you so much. How are you, and where in the world are you today?
Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, so you're welcome, and thank you for having me. So I am currently in the Philippines right now, and yeah, just preparing for multiple events that is coming up. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we met a few weeks ago now in Malaysia in Penang. Had a good time at a seminar there with Blair Singer, which was really, really fun. And tell me, like, how did you end up at all these different events? Because I saw I think it was October of this year. You literally were at an event every single week, a different event. And I just like, how do you do that? You literally like live out of a suitcase.
Oh yeah, that that's true. I've been in this space for about I would more than 10 years now, I suppose. So it just started because I wanted to really learn. And I was really seeking for mentors. And I just realized that the best mentors out there, you cannot get it from like watching just random TikTok videos or whatever. So I decided to seek out for mentors and then just invest in myself. So that's when my journey started. So I started attending workshops and seminars, flying here, flying there, until all of a sudden, of course, I got better, I got more results, and then people started reaching out to me and they go like, can you fly over to teach us something, or can you help us with this event because you've been through this, you know what's happening, you know how to run it and all that stuff. So yeah, pretty much that's how it started.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Because that's not everyone can do that, going from week to week, to country,
Right.
weekend here, weekend there. I mean, but you're young, you can do it. But it's very, very exciting. You get to see all these different places and interact with people, and I mean, the experience you get must be just amazing. So, for those who don't know, you're from the Philippines,
Yes.
and do you want to share a little bit about what you do? Because I know you're doing some event, which is very exciting that you're setting up in the Philippines. But do you want to share a little bit about like what you do, the coaching and the training and how you, and then we'll get into a little bit how you got there.
Yeah, for sure. So, for the past 13 years, I have helped hundreds of unhappy, dissatisfied clients. So basically, these people have losing portfolios, people who got scammed before, people who just wanted to start learning how to invest. And some of these are professionals who work so hard, but their money is just sitting in the bank. So what happened is that I created income vehicles for them through the programs that I run and through the funds that I manage. And as a result of this, they now enjoy the freedom of choice, whether they want to work or they choose not to work. So yeah, that's one of the things that basically I do. So yeah.
Oh, that is exciting. I want to hear more about that. But wow, so you're managing. Oh, that's incredible. You started out, how did you get into that? Because to be able to do what you're doing is a lot of people's dream, right? To be able to do these things you just described to help people with investments and earning money. So is this something you've been like since you were a kid? I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do, or how did you get there from where you were as a kid? Were you a good student? Did you know what you wanted to do, or how did you develop kind of find this passion in your life?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so there's a lot of points, a lot of good points that you mentioned that I want to highlight. First off is it came from a crisis. Everything that I'm doing was because of a crisis. So my family went through tough times. you mentioned, okay, it is a good dream. I'm living the life and all that stuff, but it's not. It didn't start like that. So I came from humble beginnings. Our family almost lost everything in the Asian financial crisis. And in 2008, 2009, when the recession hit the US, we almost lost everything: cars, house. Uh, my parents almost lost their jobs. It was really tough, to the point that I had to stop from school. And but since I value education, I said I wanted to finish college. So I became a working student. And what that means is that I worked in the morning, and then I came to class 6 to 10 in the evening. And then from class, traveled back home, and then just did my work, slept for about 4 to 5 hours a day, only to repeat the process for a couple of years just to finish college. So that was my quick backstory. Now, how it led me to this. So, funnily enough, you mentioned about Blair, who's a very amazing person. One of the things I learned from Blair is that during a crisis or an emergency is when someone will emerge as like the victor, or a hero, or a hero story, if you may. And during that time, when I was in rock bottom, I was telling myself, what is the lesson that we can all learn from this? And then I realized that my parents, very amazing, loving people, very smart, intelligent people, but they don't know how to manage their finances. And I wouldn't blame them, because nobody really talks about it. I mean, now it's more open, but for some, it's still like a taboo topic. We don't talk about money. We don't, like, hey dude, how much are you earning? Nobody talks about that. Hey, did you buy this? Have you been investing in the stock market? Are you into cryptos? They're like, why would I tell you that stuff? Right? So nobody really talks about this stuff. But then again, I realized at that point that when my parents were going through tough times, I told myself, what is the essence of all of this? What is the essence of life? Is it just to work, pay the bills, and then, until you're 60, and then just move on, right? Or there's something more. And then I realized that one of the important factors in life is about managing finances. So I told myself, if no one taught my parents, if nobody's teaching my family, if nobody's teaching me, then it should begin with me. So that's my realization. So connecting it back to what we spoke about, or how we started this. So I seek for mentors. I read tons of books. I went to different courses. I developed my own system. And then as a result of that, I became financially free before I reached 30. And that was my mission. I told myself, if people out there don't know this stuff, maybe I can teach them, so that they can also, I wouldn't say enjoy financial freedom outright, but at least they have that freedom of choice, the freedom to choose what they want, when they want to. So yeah, that's how it that's how it began.
Wow, amazing. So that's how it started. That makes sense because before all this happened, were you just like everyone else, right? You're just going through life, and then suddenly your family, everyone at that time were struggling, but
Yeah.
then your mindset or your just understanding of the world was different. So I'm assuming that's when you started pursuing finances and be able to understand that, or were you into that before as well?
I want to say that that I was in it before, but obviously not. So I was just normal, like everybody else. My indoctrination was study hard, go to school, get the high grades, and get a high paying job. That was it. So that's exactly what I did. I I went to school. I didn't have friends. I didn't have extracurricular activities. I was just dead focused on studying and working. So So in my high school days, I accumulated so much awards, but everything was academic. And then when I came to college, I was working student, right? But still, my focus was that. So my focus was just really study, focus, no friends, no girlfriends, just focus. So and then it just really hit me like if I this is going to be controversial, but if I go into employment, I would be trapped, and I'm not gonna be able to get out. So so upon this realization, right after college, I didn't. Not even one day. This is the funny thing. Not even one day did I step into a job, in a corporate job, right? So yeah. So
Wow, so you went straight into this. So you knew at this point, like, this is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna go, I'm gonna make it. Like, it's gonna work out. I'm not gonna even try anything else.
right.
That is, so can you tell me just the process? What's going through your mind? You're seeing all these things happening with your family, finances, and you're like, crap, I need to do something. How did just that process of changing from being a regular guy, student, like all of us, and then you're like, okay, now you're very focused and you're going to make this happen. And that's not easy to be able to do that. How did you make that change? And I'm sure you had a lot of obstacles, setbacks, just failures, things that happened before you became financially free and successful. Like, can you just walk us through, do you have any examples or like what's going through your mind for people listening and be like, you know what, I would like to be like you as well, but how can I get there? I failed at all these things. I don't know what to do. You mentioned mentoring. Like, what was that process where you are so set on like, boom, I'm going to make this happen right out of university?
Right, right. Good question. Great question. I would say the first thing is all about awareness. Like, I am fully aware that this is what's happening. So the next thing, so I would put it, maybe I would say there's three A's, and I'm just making this up. The first thing is awareness, wherein again, I'm fully aware of what's happening. What is the current situation? Will the situation change if I do something or I don't do something, right? So I'm aware of what's happening. The second thing I would say is acknowledgement or maybe acceptance. It's the same A, right? So accepting or acknowledging that this is my current reality, but it doesn't necessarily need to be my reality forever, which leads me to my third A, which is action, just taking action. It's always cliche as we see, as we hear, but I just really took action. Like, I am in rock bottom. Where else can I go? There's nowhere else to go but up. I mean, this is rock bottom, right? Yeah, so yeah, so I just took action, and then it started from there. I started well, already, I started seeking for mentors. I started applying my own system. I started, funnily enough, I also started journaling. I'm not sure if people are like, "Oh, I've heard this before. Journaling is like woo woo stuff, right?" But journaling actually really helps because once I journal, it's like talking to myself. It's like, what did I learn for today? What lesson can I pick out from this challenge? And then from there, I started creating, so if this is the challenge, this is how I will handle it. If this is what is happening, this is how I will happen. And then because of that, you become more of a visionary or more of a strategic thinker in a way wherein I'm anticipating what's going to happen next. And because of that, I also became more grateful because I'm journaling. And since I'm in rock bottom, I started journaling about everything that's happening in my life, like what I so called miracles, wherein somebody offers you a drink, like, I don't have to pay for a drink today. I mean, amazing, right? So that's something I can write. And then somebody offers to, like, a simple bread. I'm like, if you are in rock bottom, you're like, I will accept everything. And then somebody comes up to you and then you go, they go, can I offer you advice? I mean, for sure, come on. I don't have to pay for a book. Come on, just give me advice, whatever that is, right? So that's the thought process. I mean, if for those who's watching, who's listening to this, if you are stuck in rock bottom, that's just the deepest, nowhere else to go, right? If you're in rock bottom, you just have to make that decision wherein, okay, I'm going to accept this. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just that. And then take action. And then everything starts to shift from there. Everything starts from to shift. Like there will be emergence. And if you decide that that will be you, then you will see that it's either a breakdown moment where you're just gonna sober up and cry and like, oh, this is just life, just break down, or you choose to break through. So yeah.
That's really good, really good. Growing up in school and it's in our family, we didn't talk much about finances or investment, and I never had any friends that were in that. We were all in like football and sports and whatnot, and so to have somebody like you would have been like, oh, that would have been so awesome to open my mind to just what's out there and the potential, and then investing and the finance aspect of it. So totally makes sense why so many people are reaching out to you for this advice, because this is in Norway we never learn any of this stuff. Nothing like really about personal finance. It was literally nothing about money and finance. And I think everyone expects you to learn that in business school or whatever you choose after high school. But it's like, if I just had a friend like you, man, my life would have been very, very different, I think.
But that's a funny thing. So I'm coming from an Asian perspective. You're coming from a European perspective, but we're kind of the same. Nobody teaches us these things. I mean, like maybe it's like, but and here's the funny thing. I went into business school. My first course was accountancy. So I was like, maybe they're gonna teach. We're all about numbers and calculator from day one. So I'm like, maybe they're gonna teach me about this. So somehow they taught us about taxes, but that was it. Nothing to manage your money, just taxes. And then I went so business school, and then my major was accountancy, and then I somehow weirdly shifted to finance, but still I didn't learn how to manage money. I'm like, we're doing corporate finance, we're doing world finance, we're studying about economics, but I still don't know how to invest in the stock market or something. How much should I be saving? Should I be saving 20%, 30%? Not a single day in my like 4 years, 5 years in school. So that is a funny thing.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's so, when we look at it now, and I guess the content was there, so I can't just maybe come up with excuses, but I just in my mindset, the people around me, I realize they're so important because whatever they're into, usually it's what I'm into as well. But having people that could, or just even books or information, I just never even thought of that. A little bit now and then, but I never found the resource. And I think now with the internet, it's probably easier to find people and you hear more information about it. But yeah, I just think it's so important that early on, like I have a 5-year-old, my son, he's 5 years old, and I'm trying to, right now we're gonna do a little business where I bought these little toy cars. He loves cars. So we're gonna take those and then I bought some stickers too. So we're gonna sell them on TikTok. We're gonna make videos with these cars and
No.
stickers. And it's just for him to get an understanding. So we're gonna wrap them together, put them in like, bags, and then we're gonna ship them out. And it's gonna be fun just for him to understand this is how the world works. This is how people make money, and you can take that money, you can invest it, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy gold, you can do stocks, whatever you want.
Right.
So it's just I'm trying. He's only 5, for him it's just fun. Then he gets toys to play with too. But I'm really trying to do with him just a little bit now, early on as possible, where he can have that mindset and understanding of how the world works. Like money doesn't grow on trees, it just doesn't appear. Like you have to sometimes work for it. can make it double, triple, and less and stuff. So you said you developed your own program now. I spoke to
Yeah.
somebody else the other day, and they said they took a lot of notes in their previous work experience, and that became their content. So then they developed their own course as well. So for you, I'm assuming you're journaling. That was awesome. You did that. You learned a lot from that, and that probably is becoming part of your content as well then. But then the finance, like the courses, how do you just graduate and then just start making all this, making enough money to be able to be financially free and then teach it? Like how without, did you have mentors then, specific ones that were helping you with that?
Right, right. Good question. So I have mentors, but I wouldn't say I have like a coach. And it's weird, but how I see it is that I have mentors who are my teachers, but I don't like have a one-on-one coach like an athlete who's gonna tell you do this and do that. It was all my decision. So yeah, so what happened is that how I developed my programs is that I started learning, and it's obviously like trial and error, wherein I learn something, I apply it, and then I go, it's not for me. And then I do something else, I learn something else again, and then again, it's not for me. Until I like pick from this and from this, put it all together, and then I'm like, suddenly it all just adds up. So, and then I put it
Uh,
together, and then I created that system, which, if you don't mind, I can actually quickly share. It's
yeah, that'd be
weird
great.
to see it without the context, but I'll say it there. I'm gonna change my background. It's just really quick. So it's a
All right, so now you're in the bedroom. Okay, I got to explain this.
yeah, okay. So my system is fairly simple. So it's a bed, okay? And I always ask people a question. Well, maybe I can ask you that question. If this bed only has one leg, will you sit on it?
No,
No. Good. How about if it has about two or three? Are you comfortable lying down?
and no,
Still no. Why?
I don't think it would be unstable. I don't want to fall on the floor.
Exactly. So you don't, it's unstable, right? It's shaky, unstable, right? So here's a question. What now if this bed has four legs? Now will you be more comfortable lying down and sleeping on it?
But yeah, if you got four legs, I would do it.
Yeah, exactly. So this bed actually represents, in my terms, our financial portfolio. So if we have just one, you're kind of shaky. Well, not just kind of, you're really shaky. If you're two or three, still not confident, still not comfortable. But you have four, now you can say that you have sort of a strong and stable financial portfolio. So that's why I call it a bed system. So it's just started from there, and then I grew it, and then as part of that's the reason I share this is because you ask about the education or the process. Part of it is how I manage my money, and then how I manage it. A part of my money I put in about 5 to 10%. I call it the continuous growth. So every month or every quarter, I really invest in myself. So that's when I buy books, I buy podcasts, I do subscription models, I attend workshops and seminars, I fly in and out from different countries, and I just really invest in myself. And that's part of the system because I realized one of the mentors that I have, his name is T. Harvecker. If anyone of you watching is knows this guy, he says brutally honest, but he goes, either you're growing or you're literally dying. And I was like, that is so brutal. I mean, I don't get it at first, but then I realized everything is about that, either growing or not growing, or when you're not growing, literally you're dying. So I'm like, when you're sleeping, what does your body do? It actually grows. You're actually repairing, right? The cells, energy, replenishing, restoration, all that stuff. So again, you're growing or you're not growing, right? So same with life, same with business. If I don't learn something new, then I'm dying unless I learn something new wherein I'm growing. So that is the reason why I invest in myself. I put in my time, I put in the effort, I put in money to continuously grow.
Fascinating. What percentage did you say that
5 to 10.
you reinvest in yourself? 5 to 10?
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. That makes sense. And then you're just learning, constantly learning. Like every week or month, you have like a budget almost to buy things, and then you're just learning and learning, learning. That is and growing and growing, growing.
Right.
Very interesting. So the people that, how did you start then? You started becoming financially free, and then you started coaching and helping other people. How did you find clients that like, I'm sure they heard about you doing as well as you did, but did you do talks? Like how did you meet people and then find clients to be able to work with?
Right. So my business model, there's two things. One is I do private fund management. So I manage the funds of very private people, not public. So I really don't advertise this thing.
Hmm.
So if you go to my socials, you can see that I post from here and there. I post content, I post some value posts, but I don't ask people for money. It's just really a private thing. And how it started is, of course, I had to prove myself first. So I had to make my own returns. I have to grow my portfolio. I had to compound it, and I had to have results. And I needed to be trustworthy enough for people, obviously, to trust me. So it started there, and then it just started growing. And then they're like, okay, I have this friend or I have this relative who doesn't have time, who has a lot of money from inheritance because her spouse passed away or the parents passed away. They suddenly have this money, they don't know how to manage it, they don't know how to do with it, what to do with it, where to invest it. Can you help them out? So I started helping them out without touching their money still. I just started coaching them, giving them advices, and they're like, after a couple of sessions, they're like, okay, maybe I still want to work, but I don't want to do what you are doing. Can you do it for me? So I was like, so that works. You're gonna trust me with your money. You don't really? Okay, so maybe that can work. So it just started from there. It's another emergency, so to speak, and then it was like, oh, okay, maybe that's cool. So that is the fund management part. So right now I'm just managing really like a handful of people. I don't need a lot. I don't need 100 people. It's just really like a small group, and they're happy. So yeah, some of them are retired. Some of them just travel the world. I don't even know where they are right now. Some of them still works because they're like, now I have the choice. Some of them, just to give you the context, most of them are professionals. So when you're a professional, you're like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, an accountant. Especially for doctors and lawyers, or maybe engineers, there will come a point wherein you don't have income already because you're not employed, right? So so when you stop doing your profession, or for whatever reason you cannot work because of an illness, an accident, or whatever, where is the money going to come in? So they're like, upon realization, they're like, okay, I'm a high roller. I make big bucks, but I don't know how to make it work without me working. So with that realization, they're like, okay, so either two things, um, manage the funds for them, or learn it themselves so that they can learn how to trade and invest and make their own money. So yeah. So so that's the first model, and then the second model, which I do, which is training. This is mostly for people who just wanted to manage their own money, and usually just because they don't have that large capital, which is fine. We're not judging, because I started with no capital, right? So So I just teach them how to do it. I teach them the system. And what's good about this is that you can actually do it in just 1 to 2 hours per week. So you don't have to quit your 9 to 5 job if you don't want to. Or if you want to spend more time with your kids, just quit your job and then just do it 1 to 2 hours per week. You can. So there's really no conflict there because who doesn't have like 1 to 2 hours per week, right? Maybe just cut down a little bit on Netflix and you have more time. So yeah.
Ah, so you're saying, I have to say this is very interesting to me, very intrigued because you're only working with a few people, but then you have the coaching on the side, but they really trust you. So you must be very good at what you do and be able to build that trust with them as well. Obviously, very successful at it, but man, that is so interesting. So you just learned all this stuff by yourself, and now you're helping other people, like teach to other people as well. Um, yeah, it's very, very unique, I have to say, Julian. It's your story is quite inspiring of how that came about. Are you? I knew when I met you, I was like, this guy is sharp. I didn't know your full story, and I was like, I want to get to know him and understand a little bit his mindset because you're quite a bit younger than me, but you've been very, very successful. And I have to say, it's just fun to kind of hear how you've gone about it. Because I know when I had some just a situation you showed, I had some health related issues, which I told you a little bit about earlier. So at that when that happened, we had no income, and we hadn't I hadn't planned for that because you just never think that suddenly you're gonna have health related issues or something's gonna happen. Um, and then, but when that happened, it's like 5 years with no income, and that is rough when you don't have anything like that planned out. So what you're describing is that you can work full time and then you can teach 1 2 hours a week and then be able to learn from you in that way. That is then you don't have to quit your job because a lot of people think they need to, oh, I need to quit my job, I need to trade, I need to learn how to scalp trade, I need all these different things.
Yeah.
But you can keep your job, have that income, and then just build it on the side for 1 2 hours, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't claim to teach people financial freedom because my definition I might be wrong, but for me financial freedom means having bigger passive income than your expenses. So that's the time you become financially free. So I'll repeat that. If your passive income, you can get it from stock dividends, from rental properties, from royalties if you ever wrote a book or you're doing like a podcast or like a subscription model of some sort. So if that money wherein you don't have to work for it, it just comes into you naturally on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, and it can pay off whatever expenses you have, then that's financial freedom. So I wouldn't claim that all of my students are at that point already, or some of or my clients are at that point already. But what they have is financial choice. They have at least that freedom of choice, right? So that is my goal to get there, to get my clients to get there. But let's face it, my clients don't have like $1 million to invest. So if I wish they had, so it's gonna be so much easier for everybody, right? So
Yeah, no, totally. But the thing is, you start with that, right? So if I would have done that 20 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, then things would have been very, very different because you've built it up over time, right? And so that's how it works. Spend more time, then you do like calls, Zoom calls. Do you meet with them face to face, or how do you do your training sessions? Like if there's somebody listening to this in some other country, like how would they? Well, I'll put up your social media channels, but how would they get a hold of you? And then what does it look like working with you?
thank you. So, yeah. So I do face-to-face workshops. I do also online ones. So my clients mostly are not from Asia. That is a weird thing. Most of my clients are either in the US or Europe or some other parts. They're not mostly in the Philippines. So what we do is just really we do the calls, right? So that's how it works for my coaching. For my clients who does the fan management with me, most of them either are here or they come here. So some people actually fly in to meet with me. So that's that, it's always happening. So like let's say in what's this? Let's say in March I have people flying in for me. Just when was this? Last year, somebody flew in from Japan to be with me to learn from me for about the whole day. She was here for about 2 days. So she flew in for me, learned from me, then flew back out. So I was like, this is so amazing. People actually fly in for me. So I'm like, either I fly out or they fly in.
That's cool, man. That's
That
you're
is
doing great. Very encouraging. Very inspiring to hear your story because this is yeah, you've been very successful in this and very, very cool. How what are your you said you were planning some events last we spoke as well with
right.
this in the Philippines. What does that look like? What are the events and what does it go into do? Like what are you doing to set these things up in Philippines?
Right. So for these events, I do run my own programs, as you know. I'm running one more program this week. One So one company invited me to do another program next week, and then Feb and all that stuff. And then for the big events in the Philippines, one of the partners of Success Resources, they reach out to me. So they basically since last year or more than a year now, I've been sort of the crew manager. And what that means is that I work directly with the organizers and with the program directors, as we call it, and then we run the programs. So the crew reports to me. I see what's happening. We set up we set up days before the event. We plan all of these things, and then we simulate, and then we run it so that the participants that come in have an amazing experience. Yeah.
Nice. So
So
this is with Success Resource, or at least some of them are Success Resources. For those you said, I think you said you've been to a bunch of Success Resources event last time we spoke. But
yeah,
when did you start attending their events, and what have you gotten out of? What are the few things maybe you can share of what you've gotten out of attending the Success Resources events?
great question. So it's about I would put it in three things. Three things. Number one is a change in mindset. That is super powerful. As in, nobody really talks about it. Again, people are like, oh, mindset, I know that thing. I mean, like woo-woo stuff. But really, 80% of what we do is mindset. That's what I would say. And that's what I tell my clients and my students as well. 80% is the mindset. And that's part of the psychology, that's part of the discipline, that's part of emotion handling. That's all the 80%. 20% is your knowledge and skill. So for those of you who are listening or watching this, maybe that's the reason why most people don't succeed, because they're like, I learned this from YouTube, I learned from this person, or I attended this seminar or this workshop, or I read a book. So I have all the skills, I have all the knowledge, but how come it still doesn't work? It's because 80% is the mindset, the psychology, and that's the thing that you don't really get at first. It's something that you have to train for and you have to develop. So that's one of the key things that I continuously get from attending the Success Resources events is the mindset. It always revolves around that. It always have some sort of a mindset section to it, which is amazing because it keeps reminding us how to do it. Second thing I would say is a conducive learning community. So when we attend Success Resources events, we're building a community of people, and I wouldn't say just like-minded people. It's growing a community of growth-minded people. That's what I would say. What is the difference? You can always go to a community, and there's always going to be like-minded people. But do you want to be just with like-minded people, or do you want to be with growth minded people? And what that means for me is this: let's just put, you're putting me on the spot here, but but it's all good. Let's just say I'm lazy. Okay. If I'm lazy and I join a community or I hang out with my friends or my group who are also like-minded, so all of us are lazy. So, so I'm just hanging out with more lazy people. At the end of the day, we're all just lazy, unproductive people, right? But if I hang out with a growth-minded people, then they're gonna stop me at the door. They're like, no, your BS doesn't work here. Your procrastination doesn't work here. So either you shape up or you're out. And that's what I learned coming to this SR community. Like when I come in there, people constantly challenge you to do better. People always There's always somebody who's bigger than me, who's better than me, who's faster than me, who's younger than me. So I was like, wow, this is so amazing. I always get to learn something from them, right? So yeah, so that's why that's another thing that that I always learn is yeah, that growth minded community, or that conducive community of learning. And then number three is of course what you learn. Like obviously they offer amazing workshops and seminars wherein you get to learn business or finance or self-development, or maybe some is related to health, some is related to relationship building. So there's always something that I can learn in flying in and flying out in a couple of days, in a couple of weeks, that will take me years to learn if I take up like a master's degree of some sort, right? So yeah, so basically that's what I think I'm getting from all of these events.
All right, so that is super interesting about the mindset. And that's what I've learned as well, being around the success resource of people and events, because that is a huge change. It's the biggest one, it's the hardest one. But once what I noticed, people keep saying again and again, that mindset is so important. You said it was like 80%. And it's really good. So you're setting up some events now coming up. We met at a SR event too with the Blair Singer. You've been to multiple of his events, but have you been to climb Kilimanjaro with them?
No, not yet. That's actually my goal for 2026,
Uh,
if he's still gonna do it. So I'm like, please do it for one more year. I mean, well, he's doing it 2025, so I'm like, please do it in 2026. So
he,
that's my goal. So this year, 2025 is super packed, and the reason I don't want to do Kilimanjaro is that I will be out for about a few weeks or to a month if I'm doing Kili, plus all the like exercise and prepping and all that stuff. But this year is primed for an amazing year in terms of stocks and cryptos. In my forecast. I mean, I'm not gonna project anything. I'm not gonna play like I have a crystal ball, but just based on my analysis, this is gonna be an amazing year for the financial markets. So I don't want to miss it.
no, I totally get it. I understand because of what was the market we're in. We climbed Kilimanjaro in 2017 with Blair, which was really fun. So
Wow,
it's been a while. So for
how
those
was it?
listening who don't know, Blair Singer's a speaker and Success Research sets up a lot of their events. And that's where we met, Julie and I met at one of these seminars. And it was really fun because Blair, he has this way of facilitating conversation just by asking questions. And that's what we were learning to do. And yeah, I have to say, the people that can really develop that skill set, there are very few of them in the world, I think. And I was very fascinated about listening to it because I went to Kilimanjaro in 2017 and we climbed the mountain with them. And every evening we would sit down and have these conversations. So I got to experience it without having any idea of what he was doing. That it was very intentional, that he thought through this. He had a process, asking questions, and then this person would answer, and then that person would answer. So there's the way he facilitates the room by
Nice.
asking questions and incorporating everyone in there. So he doesn't just sit there and like answer or talk about this. That. he brings it all together by working with other people, and it's a skill he's developed that he's sharing and teaching with other people, and that's the seminar I went to. But man, it was so fun because climbing that mountain, I love going hiking and those things, but I'm not like those hardcore, in the hike.
Yeah.
When I high school, I did the most of that kind of stuff. We went up climb a mountain in Norway in high school and we dug a snow cave inside and we slept inside on top of this mountain, which was really fun. And then we went canoeing, kayaking, all those things. We walked the same route they took in World War II from Norway to Sweden to smuggle people and items out. That was
Right.
fun. And then we went snowboarding and just a lot of fun stuff like that. So I have done some things, just trips out, sleep, we'd sleep outside in the forest and just that kind of stuff. But then that's literally 20 years ago. And now up on the mountain, like we were in the block that I live in, we'd be running up and down the stairs to exercise because you had to get in shape. And
Wow.
so what you're saying is true. You have to, it takes some time to prepare for it. It takes, we spent weeks going, Bukit Timah. I don't know if you've been there here in Singapore, but I think it's 100, elevation of 160 meters, like that. It's tiny, so tiny. But we'd go up and down with our backpacks and like, yeah, we're gonna go climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So go from what is it, just, few meters to almost 6,000 meters, which Mount Kilimanjaro is. But it's totally worth it, man. But the thing is, what I tell people, you got to go with Blair because
Yeah.
once you go with Blair, he brings everything together in these conversations after every day. And I mean, I'm telling you, it is intense. You're walking like 10, 12 hours a day. You're sleeping in a tent. You got to learn to pee in a bottle in a tent. Like all this stuff is just it's really fun, but it is extreme and you got to train and be prepared for it. But once you get there, we got up to Stella Point, I remember. So Stella Point is one of the highest peaks, but then you
Right.
got to walk about 25 minutes to get to Uhuru Peak. And a bunch of people I came with, they measure the blood and oxygen levels in the body. So a lot of people had to go down, and then they come back next year. They keep doing it. But I was able to. They had 85%. So they let me go. So I was just walking. I was so tired, but I have video of it. It's so cool. It's beautiful, and you're so high up there. You're above the clouds, and you're just like high on adrenaline, and you're just walking, and then when you get to this sign that says, I think it says "Welcome to Uhuru Peak, Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania," and you see it, and you're just high, and it's almost like a dream. It's surreal. It really feels surreal, and you can't be there too long, just a few minutes, and you got to make your way down again because you're so high up and it's so dangerous. You cannot run, you can't jump, you got to just move slowly and conserve your oxygen. But anyways, with all that said, coming down, it's
Wow.
amazing. But doing it with Blair is what makes it extra special because his ability to just he's done it so many times up and down. So safety, the guys he goes with, like Kevin, the team, like they're fantastic. But his conversation afterwards, to debrief, that's where you get the most out of it. And you wouldn't get that with anybody else. So if you're gonna go, don't go this year because we got I don't know how much you do with crypto and stuff, but with this bull market, it's we're very excited about it too.
Exactly.
If you guys are gonna go, you gotta go next year before he stops doing these because it's quite amazing experience, I have to say.
Yeah. That, so my jaw is dropping because I'm visualizing what you're saying, and I'm like, wow, that is amazing. But here's the beginner question. So even if you reach the peak, you cannot stay there for long because of the high altitude, or because there's not a lot of oxygen. Is that right? What is
Yeah,
happening?
the air is so thin up there. It's just and so you have these different levels you get to every day. The goal is to reach this base and then that base and then that base to get higher up. But then the last day, the summit day, when you're there, I mean, I'm telling you, it is very like so I had another friend, he was into doing push-ups. So the
Yeah.
year before we went, he did or 2 years before we went, he was doing like 100 push-ups every day. So got up on the mountain and they weren't even at the top, but he was doing 100 push-ups. and he
Right.
got so exhausted because you never recuperate. Like it's like you don't get enough oxygen in the body, so you're just exhausted after that by just doing that one time. So you have to conserve your energy as you're walking and get enough oxygen in, drinking water, and you have this specific breathing technique and stuff as well. But once you get there, and then when you get the highest point, then they have to check the amount of oxygen in your blood because if you're below, I think it's 70, then you just have to go down because you can get brain damage. It's very, very dangerous. So they don't let you every day they test you. They test everybody when we hit another camp, and then they test you, and if you're below, then you got to go down.
Right.
But so they also give you these meds to get more oxygen into the body, and from my experience, that really helps. So don't like just take it. It helps you
Okay.
get more oxygen in your body, so especially when you're going to summit. This one guy had another group, they were talking, this one guy had like 96% or oxygen in his blood, which is really high. I
Yeah.
think most people at like sea level don't even have that. But I think he'd taken like too much. But all I'm saying is like just take it because I know some people that didn't take it and they weren't
Right.
able to go all the way to the top. So but it's dangerous too. It's not like you're just climbing a day trip mountain. Like it's serious. We saw people coming down in wheelbarrow and wheelbarrows, what do you like these improvised
Yeah.
stretchers with wheels. It's like they just put together this wheel and they put it and they had the ivy in them. I mean, so when I saw that, I was like, this is no joke. Like you got to take it seriously.
Yeah.
It kind of scared me a little bit because these people were totally knocked out and it is dangerous. So you have to prepare for you got to be focused. So right now for 2025, you got other stuff to do like you just don't go you're wise like go next year and you can
Yeah.
just focus on it, get fit, go up and down, exercise, and then you'll be fine.
Okay. So it takes 2 years to prepare.
No, I wouldn't say 2 years, but just give it a couple of months. You got to start. I would probably start 3 months out. I would really start going up and down stairs. I would exercise and really get fit because it's
Right.
intense. It really is.
Okay.
But
Wow.
you just got to be focused because if you're like, oh yeah, it's Bitcoin is hitting whatever, then you're not
And
focused.
there's no signal
Yeah.
in the mountain, I suppose. So
Uh,
there's no signal in the mountain. So there's not.
no. Well, we had these satellite phones, but you can just send a text message. But the thing is, if you get in trouble up there, you're in trouble. But they'll bring you down quickly. They'll do everything they can. They check you. The team that we go with, their safety is their main priority. They always checking you. They don't let you go. I know other teams, they sometimes just kind of whatever, but they're very careful. They want everyone to make it up and everyone to make it down together. And they won't let you if they notice you have issues, they pay attention to you, they talk to you, and they know what symptoms to look for. So that's why I'm
Right.
saying, like, you go with Blair, and then with Kevin. Kevin has climbed Mount Everest. He took like a blind guy up Mount Everest too. He's like a legend. So him, and then Kristen, and then I think she still goes, but Kevin and Blair together, they're just
Right.
like they're the dudes you want to go with. If you and then I think Kristen goes too, so it's three of them. She's done it a bunch of times before. She's amazing as well. So you have three of these people that two of them that take people up and down on trips, and they're so professional and so experienced at it. But then Blair brings it all together through what you're learning, and that's when you're like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's a, th From what you mentioned, I just realized that there's this quote, and I would be embarrassed to share my experience, but the quote goes, "Enjoy the journey, not the destination," and it perfectly encapsulates what you just mentioned because you're gonna be preparing for months. Yes, preparation, all that stuff. Only, and then you're gonna climb for a couple of days to reach whatever summit. You said Huru was it like the biggest,
Yeah.
but like base camps or summits in between, and then you're just there for a couple of minutes and then go down. So I'm like, all that effort, and then I'm just gonna go down, and after like a couple of minutes or maybe an hour, I don't even know how much time you got up there. So I'm like, okay. Now suddenly it just makes more sense to me. Like everything really is a journey. Like our life is a journey, like business is a journey, finances probably is a journey. And then it just made more sense hearing your story because now it literally is the journey. Like months in for that one moment up there. I'm like, wow. That is an
That's so
amazing.
true. It's so true, man. And you think of it, it is kind of crazy. Like so many things you could do. You could spend time on other things, but you're preparing to climb this mountain, and you get up there, you just, just take a photo and then go down, right? But,
Exactly.
but it is part of also the discipline, the focus you have to have to learn how to just pack your bags or how to take care of your health, to focus and prepare. So to accomplish it, I have to say for me, I was like, I am going to make it to the top. And I was very determined and very focused. And even though other people had to go down, I was like, I'm gonna make it. And so to feel that, just that's like a euphoria of just accomplishing something. You set a goal and you do it. It's really remarkable. So you have people that don't make it to the top every the first time, but they come back the next year and then they go for it and then they're able to do it. So most people are able to do it the second time, but or most people do it the first time, but some people do it the second time because they're like, okay, we learned from last time and now we're gonna go for it. But just the feeling of being up there. I'm telling you, it's surreal. And when you put your hand on that sign, you're just like, oh, I did it. It's this famous sign. You've seen all the pictures on the top. Oh, it's so fun, man. And then you walk down and then you get a good shower and a bath and just good food. And you're just like, oh, wow, that was amazing. So yeah, check it out. Blair Singer. You guys can Google it. He does this mountain experience thing. And yeah, it's good stuff.
And it's amazing because it's 2025 for those of you who's watching this, and you're talking about 2017, 8 years. But the way you talk about it, the way you smile, the way your eyes glow up, it's as if it just happened recently. And that's I think that's a magic. That's a power of something that you do that you enjoy, right? It's a memorable experience. It becomes like a core memory wherein you can always go back to and talk about it and just extract the experience out of it. So
Yeah,
that,
totally, totally. No, you're 100% correct. It really made an impression on me. So I was very happy. So to be able to get the opportunity to do it, and I just learn a lot about myself and about life in general. So
right,
it was
yeah.
good. But I want to ask you, you mentioned a little bit about what you're thinking for 2025.
Right.
Do you want to share more about that, or is that something people want to have to approach you and you kind of have a coaching session, or what are your thoughts about 2025? Can you share anything? Is it crypto? Is it financial market, or what are your thoughts about it?
Oh, cool. Okay. So interesting. Okay, 2025 for me is an amazing year because this year is one of the I need to pull up some data, but this year is one of the years which has the most elections. I'm looking about 100 plus elections, which
Oh,
doesn't happen normally. Let's say last year we had the US elections, right? And then maybe just last year we only had, let's say, 40 elections across multiple countries across the globe. This year we're looking about 90 or 100 elections. So that alone is going to change the dynamics of how we look at things because obviously there's going to be a shift in power, a change in administration, a change in policies and all that stuff. So it's going to be really really interesting. And it's interesting because once we change, once there are changes, things will shake up a bit. It's not good for the government. Probably it's not good for business. But if you're in the financial markets, maybe that's good because it brings out a lot of movement and volatility. So we're not being biased here, but that is one of the good things if you are investing in the financial markets because you get to see more volume, more volatility, more movement and that equates to more money potentially, right? So that's one thing. Um, the second thing is that in a couple of days, in less than a week, I'm looking at the calendar. Yeah, it's gonna be less than a week. On the 20th of January, Trump is gonna come into office, and love him or hate him, that's not the point. We're not. There's not like a political debate or a conversation, right? But obviously, a change in power from one of the, if not still the biggest and strongest nation on the planet, and that's gonna shake things up, right? So that's interesting. Now, if we segue that information to the crypto market, the crypto is poised for a strong 2025, and it is because of multiple sources. Number one is because we had the halving last year, about April of last year, and what happens is during the halving, prices go up, but the real bull run, or when prices really skyrocket, is the year after the halving, which is coincidentally 2025, right? So that is one factor. The second factor is that um, institutions are now adopting not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrencies in general. And what that means is that they're creating what is called an ETF, or an exchange traded fund, wherein normal people like you and I suddenly, or more skeptic people, can invest in Bitcoin without actually buying the asset. And that is amazing because I know a lot of people who want to make money, but they're like, I don't want to invest on my own, or I don't want to have that like trade it on my own. Maybe I click something else. Maybe I get scammed. Maybe I don't. I click a different link. Maybe I sell my shares or my coins. So because of these ETFs, institutions can now come in, like money from pension funds and insurances and trusts, and people again like maybe people in their 60s, 70s who are a bit more risk averse can now join in or hop in because of this. And that's gonna blow up the market, I suppose. And going back to Trump, he's a pro crypto person, and if he makes this is an if, I don't know him, he doesn't know me, but if he makes Bitcoin like a storage of value, not just with gold, or he changes it, then everybody would want to buy more Bitcoin because it's gonna be like your new storage of value. It's like this is 1970s, wherein the introduction of gold as a reserve or as an asset is coming to fruition, and we are like the first people who are like, oh, how can I buy gold? Because let's face it, 1970s we didn't have the internet, or maybe I don't know. We most likely we don't have the internet yet, right? So the only time, or the only opportunity for you to buy is maybe if you know someone, or maybe if you know a broker, or maybe if you literally buy a piece of gold. Maybe that's the only time that you get to have one of those, right? And as the years progresses, you can simply buy gold by, through brokers, go to like a gold bank reserve, just get a passbook. You don't even have to have the physical gold with you, right? And now that is what's happening to cryptos and not just Bitcoin. So putting all of this into perspective, like as we speak, Bitcoin is about, or the market is about $2.9 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. 2.9 trillion. And that is just not even a quarter. It's just like one tenth, or one, like a fraction of how much money is out there, talking about the stock market, talking about the forex market. So just imagine if more institutions or corporations will just infuse a little bit more money into this, then it's just gonna blow up in our faces, and that's gonna be an amazing, amazing year. So yeah.
Yeah, that is, I agree with you. It's so exciting. I just been waiting for this for like what, 4 years now, but it's just it's happening. I say it's very, very exciting. So I can't wait. I'm very, very curious to see what's gonna happen. But I never thought there's 100 elections. That's a lot. So there will be volatility. So these are, I guess, some indicators that you look at in your program as well, and you teach people as well. So I love it, man. I'm so excited. I really am. If
Yes.
people want to connect with you, I will put your social media links. I have them here. I'll put them in the description, or maybe in the comment section as well, so it's easier to click on it. And then people can reach out to you if they want coaching, or they want to join your program.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, just learn because it's very this is a very unique time, and it's still it's only January 15th, but 2025 is going to be incredible. So for those of you listening, if you want to work with Julian, check out the links in the description. Have a call with him, get connected. Just great guy, been very successful as you guys can hear his stories, and then just reach out to him so you can learn. Because I mean, for all of us, man, if I if I just yeah, anyways, but there is never too late. That's the thing. It doesn't matter how old you are, 20, 40, 60, 80. You can always work with somebody, get that mindset, understanding, get educated, and then learn to invest as well. So, Julian, I know we've been going a little bit over time now, but thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. This has been just fantastic. So, thanks for taking the time to do this. I learned a lot, and I'm very even more curious now to be like, hey, so tell me more, But we'll have to get together another time. But for those listening, thinking the same thing, connect with Julian, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, man, thank you so much.
You're ever so welcome. And yeah, so maybe my parting words. So basically my socials is very easy. It's just my name out there. It says I am Julian Pineda. This is it. Go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. It's all the same thing. So you don't need to think about too much. So that's just it. And my parting words is regardless if you're going through tough times or you're just in a normal day-to-day setup, always think that you have that choice. And you always have that choice. At the end of the day, you can choose to either break down or break through. And always remember that we only have one life to live. So let's make it count. That's
That's
it.
good. Thank you. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. This is fantastic. I've been very, very encouraged. So, good stuff. Good stuff. All right,
Thank you.
Julian. This was fantastic. We'll have to do it again. We can do a follow-up after 2025 or something like that. Just kind of see how it all went. But yeah, I'll want to touch base with you more and see if we can talk more about this because it's going to be good. So cool. All right, man. Talk to you later, okay?
Yes.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.